Garrett Wilson has dropped an absolute bombshell after he was asked about his future with the New York Jets, and this all predicates on his blow up about Aaron Rodgers, his lack of a fade pass, and we're going to see what the New York Jets do about this as they have a head coach to hire, a general manager to hire, and a Garrett Wilson to retain, and we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris and Matt here, and we're going to jump right into things as we always do, and if you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe. Look at us here. We're all good. No more boxes. No more nothing in front of us. Matt can stretch out his arms. It's a beautiful thing. And if you guys are liking the improvements, make sure to subscribe. But let's get out there. Let's talk about some Garrett Wilson and some New York Jets football. We know Garrett Wilson is not exactly thrilled with the New York Jets right now. And when he was asked about coming back to the New York Jets or staying with them for the long term, he said, I don't know, man. I just go about my day. Wherever my feet are at, if they extend my contract, that would be a blessing. It would be awesome. I love the Jets. At the end of the day, they were the ones that believed in me. But yeah, I can't be worrying about that. I have to go out and finish these 3 games the right way. And on top of that, him talking about the fact that the Jets have struggled in the red zone this season. Garrett Wilson said that he feels like sometimes they overcomplicate the game of football about the way they play. Him and Davante Adams pride themselves on a lot of different things as far as playing receiver, and they were brought there for a reason. Sometimes it's as simple as if they're going to play man coverage, one-on-one on receivers with their defensive backs, they're saying that they trust their defensive backs. If you throw the fade, it's showing that you trust your receivers. So Garrett Wilson, I mean, as you see, it seems like he doesn't feel utilized the correct way, which is pretty fair. I mean, Wilson, he's going to have a 1,000-plus receiving yard season, all but certainly, and this will be the first time a Jet has done that in a long time. But Garrett Wilson, this should not be his first time doing this. He's such a talented wide receiver, and he's just not in the greatest position to succeed right now, Matt, and it just makes me think what his future holds. I do hope it's with the New York Jets, and I think if they bring back Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, Wilson will give those two the benefit of the doubt, with them being longtime vets, and especially Davante Adams being known as a good face and voice in the locker room.
So these are all the correct quotes. These are very professional things for Garrett Wilson to say, and I'm very happy that he's saying these things because we heard many troubling rumors over the last couple of weeks about him potentially wanting to demand a trade in the offseason. Even the people close to him thinking that he was going to demand a trade. Of course, New York Jets don't want to give him up. Jets fans don't want to see him go. He is, I would even go as far to say, the fan favorite on the New York Jets. He's my favorite player. Is he your favorite player?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember where we were at draft night, chanting his name before he got drafted. Then he got drafted. You knew that was my guy going into the draft for good reason. He's a great player.
You wanted him fourth.
Very athletic. What?
You wanted him fourth.
Yeah.
You said I want Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. He's the next Antonio Brown.
Yeah, dude. I mean, hey, it's obvious to see why people think he's an elite wide receiver. He's got great hands. He's a dog. He's just got so much energy on the sidelines, elite body control, everything you're looking for out of a wide receiver outside of being, 6'4", but he's pretty darn great for the size that he is. These quotes don't necessarily mean that he won't demand a trade in the offseason, but they're certainly cooling off those trade rumors that were swirling because he certainly, when he says that I am where my feet are, that's pretty much code for I'm not going to make my contract situation an issue for the team that has me. So right now, of course, he's under contract with the New York Jets for one more year. After this season, he has one more year. After this season, he will be eligible to be extended via team option, the 5th-year option on his rookie deal. The New York Jets will, of course, pick up this 5th-year option, meaning he will be under contract for 2 more years. And then he will start being paid much, much, much more money when he gets paid a top of the line, not number 1 top of the line, but top of the line wide receiver money coming potentially as early as next season. It depends on when he wants to get paid. He's definitely good enough where he can go out and say, I want money now. Please come out and pay me. And the New York Jets will most likely back up the Brinks truck if he decides to stay on the New York Jets. The demanding the trade, not out of the question, but certainly his future with the New York Jets is looking a lot greener for the time being.
Yeah, and I think with Garrett, one of the things here is that if you went outside MetLife Stadium before or after a Jets game and asked who is the literal last person on the team you want to get traded, I'm pretty certain that almost every single person would say Garrett Wilson. He's just finding a wide receiver like this is very, very difficult to do. He's easily one of the most talented receivers in the NFL, and the Jets have an amazing thing here. In order to keep Garrett Wilson, they're probably going to have to pay him as much as he asks for, if not more, as he has the leverage to be like, well, you either pay me this or I request a trade because you guys have done nothing for me my entire career yet. So you really, really have to give Garrett whatever he asks for, and I'd be fine with doing that. Now, taking a look at some other things that we heard from with Garrett Wilson and just over the past coming days, Todd Downing said that Garrett Wilson's an elite competitor and they want to score touchdowns in the red zone and finish drives, and Garrett Wilson saw that he had a one-on-one opportunity, and that's it, period, point blank. And as Downing said, I know it got blown up a little bit more than that, but it truly isn't. Todd Downing's trying to downplay it, as coaches do, which he's correct to do. Downing's saying the right thing here as well. And as Rich Cimini said on Thursday, yesterday, Garrett Wilson said, I'm all good. He acknowledged that he expresses his feelings a little differently than most and said, maybe I should chill out a bit. I don't think Garrett Wilson should chill out a bit. He's a fierce competitor. He wants to win. Last year when the Jets went 7-10, which they at best this year can repeat, he said it was one of the worst years of his life because he was losing and he wasn't accustomed to losing. Garrett Wilson is an incredible competitor. The man, and I mean this positively, he's an absolute sicko for winning, and that's almost as hard to find, if not harder to find, than an elite wide receiver like Garrett Wilson. It just feels like losing him would be such a misstep, and the Jets have to do whatever it takes to keep him around.
People complain in the NFL about diva wide receivers, but the fact is, most of the best wide receivers in the NFL and throughout NFL history are diva wide receivers. So he's saying maybe I should chill out, but he really doesn't have to. We've seen A.J. Brown got paid a ton. He's fighting with Jalen Hurts as recently as last week, but he's still getting paid a ton of money. He's still balling out. We know Antonio Brown, he was also, talked a lot. He was sometimes a problem on or off the field, but it didn't matter. The top guys in the league, when they're not getting the ball, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, if they're not getting the ball, they're pissed on the sidelines. Yeah. And you know what the coach does? He says, wow, I got to go get this guy the football. The only really good wide receivers that I can remember who don't, like the elite guys that weren't divas, it's like Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones. Outside of that, usually the top guys, they're saying, give me the ball. They're saying, if I'm not getting the ball, the offense is not running properly. And when you're that good, you're completely right. At this stage of their careers, Garrett Wilson is better than Davante Adams. Aaron Rodgers likes to throw to his friends. So we saw in that Jacksonville Jaguars game, Davante Adams got a lot more targets than Garrett Wilson did. And Garrett Wilson is unhappy with that because he feels like he's getting open and Aaron Rodgers is not finding him as much as he should be. And I'm completely on Garrett Wilson's side here. I do think he should be even more involved in the offense. The offense needs to be more creative with the ways that they move him from inside the slot, outside, design plays, which they do, but I think they could just get the ball in his hands even more because as long as he doesn't fumble the ball, which he's shown a propensity to do, he's just one of the most dynamic players on the team, a home run threat every time he touches the ball. He's that type of wide receiver who can take a little 8-yard slant all the way to the house, and he is just such a phenomenal athlete that you just cannot give him the ball enough.
Garrett Wilson is indeed a home run threat. I would put it the same way. I know what you meant, and I just wanted to be a pain in the ass.
Well, do you remember when you called the Super Bowl the World Series?
Oh, yeah, true.
I thought you were referencing that.
Oh, nice. But as Rich Cimini also mentioned, Wilson's frustrated by the losing, as we've also talked about already. The Jets are 18-30 since he was drafted, which is weirdly higher than it feels like, or weirdly better than it feels like, including the 4-10 season. He called last season 7-10, the toughest year of his life. And the Jets will have a new coaching staff and a new general manager in 2025, and perhaps a new quarterback. He declined to say whether those changes would impact his desire to stay long-term. Obviously they will. Of course they will. Look, I think if Rodgers sticks around, it'll help Wilson because he understands these guys are vets, and if they're willing to spend the last year of their career with the Jets, it means they truly do believe the team can succeed. So Wilson would probably stick around a year longer. The coaching decision will have an impact, but it's tough to say who the coach is going to be right now. So it's very interesting. I feel like, and again, I've already told you, and you've agreed, that I don't think Mike Vrabel's going to be the head coach of the Jets. It is interesting to think about if Vrabel got hired, considering that Ohio State connection, if maybe Vrabel would be able to convince Garrett to stick around.
He certainly might be able to convince Garrett to stick around because he got A.J. Brown paid, so he knows what he's doing when dealing with elite wide receivers. So Mike Vrabel, of course, would be a really good hire. It's obvious to say this, but the Jets really got to make sure they nail this GM hiring and nail this head coaching hiring because it's going to have a huge impact on whether Garrett Wilson sticks around or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I do believe that that they've interviewed some solid people so far, and there is a GM video coming out, so you guys are going to have to stay tuned for that. So subscribe to the channel, like this video, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, guys, and go Jets. You know what? I'm just going to start calling touchdowns home runs, and I'm going to start calling the Super Bowl the World Series. Almost called it the World Series when I said Super Bowl.